Voidmage Gamer is now partnered with Flipside Gaming, so you can use the promo code on their website, all caps Voidmage, to get 10% off all orders $10 or more. It's a great way that you can support both Flipside Gaming and Voidmage Gamer's channel. Hello everyone, time to do another deck tech video. For Commander 2019, we have some new options to go over, and I don't like going over the most well-known cards because I think that everybody's going to go for something like Atlapalani or Kirik, Son of Yawgmoth. I mean, those are some of the more well-known and already hyped up Commander options this year. I'm going to go for one that I think is pretty solid, not overwhelmingly powerful, but just does enough that's already pretty good in Commander. We already have a lot of Commander cards that do something similar. Rayami, First of the Fallen, 4 mana in Sultai colors for a 5/4 legendary vampire. If a non-token creature would die, exile that card with a blood counter on it instead. As long as an exiled creature card with a blood counter on it has flying, Rayami will also have flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. So a ton of keywords, all in an effort to make what is hopefully going to be a super creature. The whole focus here is just making a very powerful creature. If there's anything against it, it's that it's not super involving outside of just Rayami. I mean, certain commanders are valuable because they're able to utilize the deck so that your other cards are capable of standing on their own. An issue that I see with this deck is that it's pretty much everything funneling into Rayami, and if you're not able to keep Rayami out there, you're going to have problems, which is why we want creatures with very good keywords. Focusing more on things like Indestructible, Hexproof, and Protection is a good way to ensure that Rayami can stay out there on the field. Now, you could go for the obvious Lightning Greaves, and even though you could give Rayami Hexproof and it's not super difficult, Lightning Greaves is just a good card in any deck where your commander is vital for your strategy, or your deck just falls apart without your commander. But this is far from the only thing we have to rely on. It's actually kind of funny because you're probably not going to see these in a lot of other commander decks, but Slippery Bogle, Gladecover Scout, Bassara Tower Archer, Sylvan Caryatid, and Nightveil Predator are all creatures with Hexproof, and with the exception of maybe Sylvan Caryatid, I don't really see these in a lot of commander decks, but they all have Hexproof. They're all very good creatures that once we have them die, we can exile them with blood counters instead, making it so that Rayami, pretty much for the remainder of the game, has Hexproof. And it's not something like with Audric Lunarch Marshall. This is a bit more permanent, so something like a Rift Sweeper would have to be used to get the creature out of exile, and that's incredibly rare, so you should be good to go for the remainder of the game. Rayami's going to have Hexproof in addition to all the other keywords. Nightveil Predator, you get 3 right there, which is amazing. It's going to be one of the better creatures you can get out there earlier in the game, and that's sort of what we want to have in addition to a lot of those good creatures that are going to give us Hexproof. You just want ones that give you a bunch. A cheap little creature like a Banehound, Lifelink and Haste for 1 black mana. I mean, Haste is one of the more important keywords for Voltron anyway. Lifelink is going to help you stay in the game even longer. Vampire of the Dire Moon, these are just some newer cards. 1/1 Death Touch and Lifelink. Baleful Strix, 2 mana, Flying Death Touch, also has the benefit of drawing you a card on ETB. You want to go old school, play something like a Black Knight. You get First Strike and you have protection from white, so it pretty much gains whatever protection your other creatures have. Rayami will also have protection from white. Gurmag Swiftwing is another really good card for the deck that just doesn't really see that much play anyway. It's kind of bad, but 2 mana, Flying, First Strike, and Haste. It's really about efficiency, getting as many keywords for as little mana as possible, but what you've seen so far is pretty much protection, Hexproof, while also getting some other nice things like Haste and Flying. Indestructible is one of the strongest keywords to have because you can survive board wipes, survive combat. Darksteel Myr is a card, again, not going to really see play anywhere else. Indestructible for 3 mana. We should have a ton of ways to sacrifice creatures so we don't have to worry about having them die, and I'll go over sack outlets here in a minute, but even if this doesn't satisfy your need for Indestructible, we have something really cool in the Gods from Amonkhet. The cool thing about these is that these were not the gods from Theros where they needed devotion in order to be creatures. These are always creatures, it's just more or less when they can attack. We have Kefnet, Ronus, and Bontu. All are indestructible, but you're going to get Flying, Death Touch, or Menace. And that's just really nice to have an easier way to give indestructible to Rayami, just having indestructible creatures. These give other keywords, which is why I would recommend them, but they're just good creatures all around. Even if you're not sacrificing them for their abilities, they're going to offer you some value in the average commander game. Another really cool thing here to talk about is protection. So if you have any kind of protection, like protection from a certain color, it's going to also apply to Rayami. So like I said, with Black Knight, you have protection from white there, but you have other things to give protection from. With cards like Enemy of the Guildpact and Harbinger of Spring, you give protection from multicolor, which can really prevent your opponents from doing a lot of things. Anguish Unmaking, Assassin's Trophy, you can't hit Rayami with it anymore. Harbinger of Spring gives protection from non-spirit creatures, so that's almost all of them. You should be able to swing pretty easily and go for direct hits on your opponents. Just really interesting to have protection be one of the keywords that you get with Rayami. Now, something that is really important, I cannot stress this enough, you need sack outlets in this deck. If you don't have sack outlets, you're doomed to failure. No one's going to let you have a board develop where they can see this coming a mile away. They're not going to leave Rayami out there just so you can have your creatures die in combat the normal way. You need to have sack outlets out there so that you can get rid of your creatures, put them into exile with those blood counters so that Rayami can steal their keywords. Now, landform, this is pretty underrated to have, but High Market and Phyrexian Tower are two of the most important cards in the deck because they're harder to remove, lands typically are, and you just tap both of them to sacrifice a creature. You don't really have to invest any more mana than that. Really efficient to do this. The same turn you play your Rayami, you can just sacrifice another creature, give indestructible, hexproof, protection. Really awesome for your setup. We have other efficient sack outlets with creatures, Viscera Seer and Yahenni, two really popular black creatures that you're going to see in Commander anyway. But Viscera Seer is a 1-drop, super easy to get out there post Rayami, and Yahenni is just capable of enduring, can give himself indestructible. We have the all-star that is Ashnod's Altar. Sacrifice creatures, get some mana for it. We have Diabolic Intent, which is pretty much Demonic Tutor that has an additional cost of sacrificing a creature. Very good card, and in certain situations it's actually better than Demonic Tutor. In this deck, getting rid of a creature is so important, so I would say it is. Which kind of leads me into the next point here. You want to get even more value out of sacrificing creatures, so why not get another creature out onto the battlefield with something like a Neoform or an Eldritch Evolution. Two cards that are going to require you to sacrifice a creature, but the reward is getting another creature, which is amazing with Rayami because the next creature you get is likely going to add more keywords. If that's not enough for you, hey, play Birthing Pod. Another very easy way to get to your next creature while also putting something into exile. When looking for Planeswalkers, this isn't a deck that screams synergy with a lot of them, so you want to be able to go for a Planeswalker that at least lets you sacrifice. Vraska Golgari Queen seems to be the best option, at least for me. Sacrificing another permanent, and it's also a May, so you don't have to. It's pretty valuable. And another pretty underrated thing to focus on in this deck, if you don't want to rely only on your creatures, you at least want to have some good board wipes, some removal to ensure that you can kill your opponent's creatures, because the cool thing about Rayami is that you're not only going to have creatures exile for you, it's just non-token creatures in general. If they would die, they're exiled instead with blood counters. So think about all of the creatures your opponents could have, good keywords, killing those creatures with Rayami out there. Even if Rayami would die at the same time, they all leave, they all see each other leaving the field, so they're going to be exiled instead. Board wipes are really efficient with Rayami because you can get rid of so many creatures, put them into exile at the same time, so the next time you get Rayami out there, you're going to have a super creature. Things like Damnation, Decree of Pain, you want to destroy creatures, and you of course want to be selective. You want to hit your targets. Assassin's Trophy. If you want to hit multiple things, Windgrace's Judgment's also the way to go. It is essential that you supplement this strategy with really good removal, because it kind of adds a little bit of an unknown factor to the deck that once you actually start playing it, it might change the way you think about it altogether. So yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Bunch of cards I didn't talk about, but things like Miri the Cursed, another creature with a few really good keywords, flying, first strike, and haste. Just solid of creatures that you might see all over the place in Commander, in strategies you probably wouldn't expect to see combined. Ramen Up Hydra's an all-star in the deck. Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. Vigilance is so powerful in Commander. Being able to hold back, especially if you just have that one creature, is so good. And a card that is probably more well known for disgusting combos, Flash is another way that you can just cheat a creature out there and then it's going to die. So something bigger like End-Raze Forerunners that you don't want to hard cast, you can get that into exile a lot quicker. Just a very interesting looking Commander option. Rayami's one that not a lot of people are talking about, but I think fundamentally it might just be the strongest Commander option from that deck. Faceless Menace. I will say one thing though, I'm not impressed with the artwork, so a lot of people have been giving this deck a lot of crap because of that artwork, but just on ability alone, I think it's really powerful. And I did like Odric Lunarch Marshal because you can just build a keyword deck. It's not something you see all the time. I don't think it's going to be super powerful, but I think a big downside is maybe not having the explosive plays that Voltron decks typically do have. You know, being able to pump up a creature really big. The closest thing that I have in my deck is Blackblade Reforged, and that's usually what you want to go for anyway because your commander is going to have a bunch of keywords. All you really need at that point is a power boost. So yeah, let me know what you think about the deck. Obviously, any of these Commander deck techs I do are going to be a bit premature. Once I get a better understanding of these cards and what they do, I'm going to be able to handle situations better. I'm going to be able to see, oh, well, maybe this card actually works better than that one. But you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.